Hi everyone, it's FSketcher fashion drawing tutorials, and in this video we're going to render this Valentino Couture dress. It has quite interesting texture, might be a bit challenging, but I hope you enjoy the process and you will get some new knowledge from it. So I'm starting from the head. I'm drawing it using the usual technique that I'm explaining in fashion drawing 101 face drawing, so you can check it out if you don't know how to do that. And yeah. So you can turn the drawing upside down and you will see if there is any problem with the symmetry. It's much more, visible when you turn the drawing. Right, hair. And now I'm drawing her spine. It's going to be curved and her shoulders have opposite slope than her hips. So let's start drawing the dress. I'm starting from the bow, just on the waistline. And you can see I'm showing the inside of the bow of each side. And okay, and here we have a bigger bow. So it is high enough to close her breasts, but not that high to hide her shoulders, so we can still see the shoulders. And it's better to draw it a bit to show the wrinkles and the folds, so it doesn't look too stiff, because the fabric is not that stiff. It tends to have these sharp folds. The fabric is quite thick. It's not like silk, so we will have big folds. You can take a look at the hemline, and as you see, the front of the dress is much closer to us, so the sides I draw them a bit higher, and this is the back. After you finish drawing, let's actually add a small opening here. After you finish doing the pencil work, outline everything, and then we'll start coloring. So now I'm just drawing this pattern using cocktail pink, and well, I'm trying to follow any folds or wrinkles, so the pattern breaks at that point and maybe changes the direction. And yeah, I will just keep drawing this pattern and you can follow me. Alright, so these are the colors that we're going to use. Now I'm using Dusky Rose. Dusky Rose is very close to Cocktail Pink, but it's a bit darker. So you can see I'm showing first shadows. And this is Antique Pink. It's darker, has more red pigment. And I'm adding both colors inside of the folds. I'm going to change them very often, like now it's Dusky Rose. And then I'm adding deeper shadows with Antique Pink. So you start from Dusky Rose because it's lighter, and then if you want to make it a bit more reddish or dark, you use Antique Pink. So now it's Dusky Rose. Between, you see the drop folds. So some shadows inside this bow, the smaller one, under the bigger bow. Then I'm using Warm Gray 3. Again for the shadows. Now it's not just flat bow. Now you can see that it's dimension. So more shadows on the side of the drop fold. And again, Cocktail Pink, the lightest one, for very, very subtle shadows. Again, Warm Gray 3. Sometimes you can add some tiny, tiny wrinkles inside of the big wrinkles. More of Warm Gray 3 and Black Pencil. Drop folds are very common in bows, where the fabric is, gathered in the tight knot. So Black Pencil again, showing the same shadows but adding the depth. Pale Pink, I want to reduce these highlights in some parts, just adding Pale Pink. It's very, very, it's not that strong, so it's very light. And again, this is Dusky Rose. We start from Dusky Rose when adding shadows. And you see that this drop fold, I'm also making the top of the fold is like light, and you surround it with like shadows. And here we have some S-like fold, and again the sides of that fold are darker. Even it's more like Y letter. Antique Pink to add the red tint. So you can match the colors if you have different markers. Warm Gray 3. And again, Dusky Rose. More of it between the folds, inside the folds, around the folds. I mean, it's more the sides, yeah. So Warm Gray 1. Mostly on the sides, and then Black Pencil in the same way as we worked with the left side. Deep shadows inside of the folds. You really try to draw more, try to draw from photos and try these complicated shapes, because it's not like you are going to watch this tutorial and instantaneously understand how these folds work. So it all comes with practice, but now you can learn the shading, how to shade, how everything looks like. So warm gray 3, and pale pink, again mostly on the sides. I'm making them less highlighted, and I want to show highlights with white ink gel pen. Don't worry if you can't get the same results, because this dress is quite complicated, so you might just give it a try. You will take something from this class and just enjoy the process. Don't stress out. So again, more of antique pink for the contrast. You can see how it looks much more just brighter, I think, more vivid. So pale pink. I'm coloring on the top of those lines that we made with a cocktail pink. It's just I'm blurring them out in some way. I just made this ribbons wet with pale pink and coloring on the top with dusky rose, and just darkening partially those that pattern, not everywhere, just in some parts, because it doesn't have that consistent color, since it reflects light in each part of it, reflects light differently. So next, a bit reddish brown, bit of black to separate folds, like to show the fold. Next, more of a pale pink. I'm actually making that back fold a bit darker. More of pale pink. Sometimes I just add some dots, and then working with pencils, adding extra shadows under that huge bow. And next, with warm gray 3, I'm just picking, let's say, upper side of this pattern, of each of this line, and make them a bit darker. And also all these back lines, I'm making them darker. Warm gray 5 for really deep shadows, and on the top I'm coloring with antique pink, just to make it a bit red, because otherwise it's too brown. Warm gray 3, doing the same work of just adding extra layer on one side, and try not to be very consistent, not like you are coloring each stripe in the same way. You can skip some. So now I'm coloring with a dusky rose. I just want to show this fold, and for that, when you have a fold, the top of it is very light and two sides are dark, just like a mountain. The top is lit and sides are darker. So with warm gray 3, working with these lines, and next is dusky rose. Let's make this inner lines a bit brighter, and the bottom ones. brighter and darker actually. And here as well, because they just have these ribbons that prevent light. Okay, antique pink inside, and showing the shadows, more of it between the folds, bit of black pencil, and dusky pink. The work like this is just like painting. You add one layer, then another, and then it's based on your feeling. If you feel that is enough, like here I want to make a duck, I'm using warm gray 3. I don't feel that it's enough, so I'm adding more and more. But it all depends on what you want. You can make it minimal and just, you could stop in the beginning when you added stripes without any shadows or anything. But here it's just, it depends on your feeling. Just be ready to risk. This is pale pink. I want to show that some parts are super lit, so I'm leaving them white, but the others, I'm coloring them partially with pale pink, just on the top of everything. So very often during my classes, like students, they just feel that they're afraid to add extra color. But that's how you learn. Then you will start feeling those colors and you will add them intuitively. So now I'm adding antique pink. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but I just realized that I'm drawing something else. Female power, a hint. So next I'm using, again, dusky pink. I want to make these sides a bit more red. Want these lines to be more visible, so I'm coloring on the top of them. In that way, markers really resemble paints, because when you layer them, they don't have enough time to dry, so they work as a paint. So they blend with each other. This is warm gray 3. I'm making the lines even darker. And with brown pencil, I'm adding shadows inside of that fold and a bit of black pencil as well. We have one more fold over here, so let's show it. And dusky pink, dusky rose actually. Dusky pink is the skin color in pro markers. So dusky rose. More of it here. Now adding warm gray 5. Warm gray 5, I'm adding only in the places with super dark shadows. Bit of white ink gel pen, just drawing the stripes on this like belt part or ribbon. Black pencil. you can actually show a small depressions on the fabric, drawing the spots. So now I'm doing that with cocktail pink, and now adding some with warm gray 3. Just, you know, small wrinkles, not big folds, because dress can be a bit wrinkled. It's not perfectly soft always. Now with charcoal pencil, I'm adding some strong highlights, antique pink again, here and there. And then we have shadows under the hem. So I'm using warm gray 5 again. And now I'm using antique pink to make those stripes even stronger. So those ones that once upon a time we drew with the cocktail pink, now I'm coloring on the top with antique pink, and some of them with dusky rose. Some pattern inside, cool gray 4, all these shadows below, close to the hemline, and working with back pattern. And well, here is, I'm just doing what I feel like doing. You can stop whenever you're satisfied with your drawing. More of a pale pink. Now I'm using cool gray 2, and again adding these tiny wrinkles on the fabric itself. So not folds, but small depression of the fabric. Working with a reddish brown to show some shadows and again some wrinkles. More highlights with charcoal pencil. I'm using golden pen it's pen touch by Sakura to draw her earrings, and using purple pencil to add shadows on her body. For her hair, first layer was a coral pro marker, and now adding cool gray is warm gray 5, and just in between adding warm gray 3. Black pencil on the sides, not on the highlighted part, just in the darkest area. And brown pencil to add the texture and show some hair that is not tiny pieces of hair, if you can say it like that. Adding texture to her earrings. And the last step is I'm adding a bit of highlights, like strong highlights with white ink gel pen between those lines. And again, it's just what I feel like doing. So this is a dress. Actually, before this dress, I drew 2 dresses like that, and I drew them absolutely differently. One was a super high contrast, other I drew in a completely different way, and this one is the third method. So you can draw it in many different ways with any tool, like with a watercolor, with a pencil. And actually this one is a sort of a fast sketch. If you invest your time into every detail, pace yourself, you can do it even more realistically. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you're not stressed and angry. You can share your questions and suggestions in the comment section below. Subscribe to FSketcher channel for more tutorials, and see you in the next class.